welcome to our second installment of Meditation Monday. Today is October 4th. For those of you who do social media, which I know is a lot of us, it has been a weird day. We weren't able to get on social media for, of course, the majority of the afternoon and remind everybody that we would be doing this live. So it is what it is, right? So after this video is recorded, then I will upload it onto YouTube so you can watch it at your convenience on our YouTube channel at Inner Perfect. So anyway, thanks for joining me. And I wanted to, of course, first, as part of this Meditation Monday, do a little bit of an energy update. And energy updates for me are a combination of astrological plus energetic influences that are going on. And because I think that we all have been hyper aware of just a lot of stuff going on today, just kind of trying to figure out like what was going on. Like, I don't want that information as far as what I gleaned just through Googling. I don't want that information just to really kind of to reiterate that, or just to kind of have that bleed over into the intuitive portion of this session. So I wanted to use a couple of cards, use an oracle deck, just to kind of use the messages from the cards as a springboard for what needs to come through in the energy update for tonight. And this, of course, is not just an energy update for this evening, but it is for the following week, and then possibly on through, even the next rest of the month, just depending on how that information comes through. So I've shuffled my deck. I am using a really beautiful oracle deck. It is called the Mystic Traveler, I think is what it's called. I don't know where my box is. Oh, there we go. Sacred Traveler. Sacred Traveler is what it's called. Beautiful artwork and beautiful messages with this deck. So we'll see what comes through here. I'm just going to pull, I think, 3 cards. All right. So pull those. They're all reversed, but typically with this deck, cards are not read in a reversed fashion, but I always like to kind of pay attention, with how the cards come out, how they're situated, because a lot of times to me, if the cards are reversed, it might mean there's some friction and there's some energy that needs to be reversed or changed around so that we can really get in the flow of the energy of what's going on with the card. So the first card that I pulled is called Watching Clouds, and the words on the card say, lie back, rest, and relax. And of course, being reversed, this might also, of course, just be indicating that, things are a little stressful today, maybe are feeling a little stressful right now. Let me show you the card. There you go. Have a nice hammock, sailboat in the background, a little cup of tea and your book. So this card definitely, of course, speaks of just relaxing and kind of like unplugging. So to me, the energy of this card and the message of this card is saying that we actually want to play hard or rest hard, and then we also want to work hard, but we need to find a balance in that. So when we talk about how we spend our energy, how we spend our emotional energy, our mental energy, if we just worked hard all the time, obviously we would totally get burnout, whether it is, emotionally or mentally burnout, or we would physically run ourselves into the ground if we were just working, no rest, no break. So obviously that's not really productive in the long run, even though in the short term that may seem productive, because then we would have to stop if, we needed to we had to sleep, we had to rest, our body got sick because we pushed ourselves too hard, and then we'd have to take that break, but then, the pace of that work would obviously just stop abruptly. And then, of course, on the flip side of that, if we're constantly resting, if we're constantly playing, however, recreating, however you see that, then obviously, like, some things are going to fall by the wayside that maybe need to be taken care of. Our responsibilities, like doing your laundry, like washing the dishes in the sink. You're going to cook dinner, but you haven't even looked to see what's in the pantry, and you're like, well, great, I don't have anything to cook with. So being prepared, and also doing those at least things that kind of help keep you going and maintaining a kind of a normal life. We do want to invest our time in those kinds of things occasionally, and not always be resting or not always be playing, right? Or it's going to come back to bite us in the butt. So those two examples of, if we worked all the time or if we rested or played all the time, and how one extreme or the other is really, neither one of those is really preferable as far as just what we need to survive and what we need to be happy and have the things that we want or need. So it is finding that striking that balance. And so another way to look at this as well is, I want you to be aware of where you are spending your mental energy, your emotional energy, the energy of your body, and then of all the other bodies, right? Our spiritual body, not work body. I mean, it's all connected, but these bodies are kind of all coinciding and existing all together at the same time. But as we think of where you're spending your energy, or where you are expending your energy, I would like for you to give yourself some kind of middle ground. Now, if we're completely in the middle of that spectrum of playing or resting all the time or working all the time, if we find the exact middle ground, we would think that would be balance, of where it's like half play, half work, right? But of course, we know that our lives are never 50-50. Like, it might average out at the end of the day or the end of the year or the end of our lifetime, but it's never really 50-50. But I want you to think about maybe how you are expending your mental energy, your emotional energy, what you're giving your attention to, and what you are also ingesting, whether that's like on a physical level, like food, or the news or entertainment or music or whatever it is, and to kind of look at how those things really are valued, how you would evaluate those things for you personally. So for like certain people, getting a lot of physical exercise might be really important, might be really, really beneficial for them to like let off some steam, or to build their strength, or to kind of decompress out in the woods or something like that. And maybe for other people, like just kind of zoning out and like watching your favorite show might just really feel like that's the only way that you can really just kind of like, kind of zone out and just like, stop thinking about maybe things that are stressing you out, at the present. But those all have different values for different people, right? So you might really need the physical exertion. You might really need just to kind of like go numb and just like watch something on Netflix. Or maybe you need to balance like just what you're eating, just what you're consuming, make sure you're drinking enough water, make sure that you're getting some like leafy green vegetables in there. So you have your own system of how you like what works for you and what should be like most important, and then pretty important, and like moderately important, and then not really important at all. And so really truly what is best for you as far as how you spend your energy, where you put your focus and your energy. So anyway, all of that is to say that although yes, it is important to relax and to de-stress, and to whether you're meditating or you're just doing something that is not work related, it is very important to do that. And you'll know how much of that 100% of just what you're doing with your time, how much of it you really kind of need to devote to like rest and relaxation or play. And then as far as work goes, you want to find that balance as well. And like work isn't just like going to your job, right? Like the things I mentioned earlier, doing your dishes, doing your laundry, it could be doing yard work. It could be taking the time to talk to a friend or to a loved one, kind of be an ear for them, which may seem like work sometimes. And maybe that's something that you're willing to kind of put that time in. That's maybe a bit laborious, but something that you're willing to work towards or to work on. It could be therapy, right? Working on yourself. So there's lots of kinds of work, but you do want to have a balance between work and play, or work and rest, and you truly know what is best for you as far as that balance that you want to strike. But remember, it's not 50-50. It doesn't have to be 50-50. But whenever you're feeling uninspired, lazy, you start feeling guilty about that, you're feeling like you're not being productive, or you're feeling like hyper stressed and you're like, oh, I've got to get this done, and you're just like nose to the grindstone. Those are kind of like two extremes that really aren't healthy, for you as a human anyway. So just kind of like pull back a little bit and say, okay, how do I need to reprioritize my focus, my attention, my time, and my energy? And then you'll kind of strike that harmonious balance for yourself. All right. So the next card is called Unknown Territory. And the quote on the card says, "You are exactly where you need to be." So let me show you that card. Okay, so somebody's walking through the woods. It kind of looks like a snowy path, and there's like an owl, and there's a little chickadee. And of course, as we all know, like birds are always wonderful messengers as well. And so this card is talking about a path or an endeavor or a way of being or experiencing life or situation that is really kind of outside the norm, that is really different from what you're used to the day-to-day, like just what you can expect. And of course this card was reversed too. So I don't know, I kind of love the duality of all of this, because we do really experience duality and polarity and stuff within all of us, just positive and negative and yin and yang, right? But as far as unknown territory goes, I feel like this card is talking about not only getting outside of your comfort zone and kind of like stretching, yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit so that you can maybe work new muscles, whether that's mentally or emotionally or intuitively or physically. But then to also see that although these uncharted waters, this place, this space, this feeling might not feel familiar, and you may not have any idea what is around the corner, where this path is leading, or what's coming down the pipeline, right? But it doesn't have to keep you in a state of fear. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be exciting. It can have a sense of adventure. It can have a sense of things being like new and fresh and just different. So as we navigate our lives, our own personal lives, but then we also see the other things that are going on, whether they're in other people's lives or as a country or globally, that I feel that we are beginning to become more aware of things being different, of the potential of things, the big potential of things being different. And so much of it is about your perspective on whether or not it is like the sky is falling, everything's awful, or this is a new paradigm. We are waking up and opening our eyes to a different energy and a shift or whatever you want to call it. So as things come up in your life that are different than what you're used to, or that is new information, or different than how you understood it, or it's new, something that you're just like, wow, I never heard about that before or thought about it, or whatever perspective, even as these things that are different that kind of show up on your radar, oftentimes it's very natural, if it's different and you don't know it and understand it, to have some kind of trepidation, to have some kind of sense of fear or worry or hesitancy. And I'm not saying that you should be like, oh, I'm just going to throw all that to the side and just like jump right in, or run fast, as fast as I can towards that. But see where that fear is really coming from. Is it just fear of the unknown? Is it because in situations in the past, maybe you didn't, that were different or new, or you didn't have a sense of comfort knowing what was happening, something bad happened, or you kind of triggered by that memory or whatever. So really check with yourself if you are feeling anxiety and you are feeling a sense of fear, really like stuck in your root chakra, and it's like fight or flight, then see where that fear is actually coming from. And it could be like you really need to be careful. You really need to be aware. Being aware, like really paying attention, is awesome, to use all of your senses just to really like discern, what is this environment, or what is this situation that I don't, find as familiar? Like what is all going on? Keep your wits about you. But the fear and the fear overdrive of being like fight or flight and being like super stressed and anxious is not going to serve you well in the long term. That is really supposed to be like an adrenaline fueled burst of energy to get you out of harm's way or to like defend yourself. Like that's what that response is for. If we stay in that response for any kind of extended period of time, it affects our body. Our adrenals are all out of whack. It affects our sleep, our appetite, our hormones. It's very, very taxing. And it's not an energy that we're meant to maintain for any kind of extended period of time. Although I think as modern day humans and Americans kind of in the Western world, we have really gotten used to always having that anxious energy, that worry, that sense of emergency, like all the time. And that's why grounding is so important, just really being like seated in the earth. That's why that really helps, I think. So anyway, just allow yourself to not be in fight or flight for any extended period of time, if you can help it. And also maybe allow yourself to be observant and to maybe be open to the idea that not all change is bad, that new uncharted territory can actually be really exciting and can really be like pregnant with so many opportunities that were just not even possible in the current status quo or an old way of being. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, so the next card is Valiant Courage. And Valiant Courage has like a knight or some person on a horse, and it says take action with passion. So this is the next card. And I know this is backwards because of how I have my camera, but there we go. So Valiant Courage, of course, is talking about finding your inner strength and also tapping into your sense of instinct and reaction and doing something with that, and courage can be bravery. It can be strength in adversity. It can be being fearless, not having fear. But usually courage, and I know that there's a quote about this, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but courage a lot of times is like, I am fearful about this, or I do have reservations about this, or I don't really know what to do, but I'm going to find that inner strength and that fortitude, and I'm going to do it anyway. And so to me, this is a reminder, again, kind of like talking about the unknown territory and kind of talking about this watching clouds, this rest and relaxation energy too, is that we have to find balance. We have to find our own balance, our own sense of harmony of when we need to be like rushing towards something, when we need to be on the offense, when we need to be on the defense, when we need to be, taking action and like taking steps forward on something or making something happen, or when we maybe need to just like wait and we need to think, or we need to check in with ourselves and say, okay, what do I really feel about this? or we need to do more research, or we need to kind of look at something from all angles. But it's kind of like being fluid in motion. It's saying, don't spend all your time or energy doing one extreme or the other for not any length of time, but any kind of extended amount of time. It's to be in the flex and flow with what's going on, because we are constantly adapting to not only our environment, but to the energy that is around us, the energy, that we're picking up on, that other people are putting out, that we're putting out, and then how that's being read. So we're constantly really adapting, and we're making all these little like micro decisions and choices, like with all kinds of stuff. So to be courageous and to be valiant is to be true, right? Don't those words kind of resonate with like true, being like true to yourself, or, coming from a true heart. And so being true to yourself, and always checking with yourself of like what is true and harmonious and just, or, balanced or right, or whatever it is with you. And then taking action from that point, from that anchored point, taking action from there, or sometimes not taking action from there, is honestly never going to steer you wrong. And it's going to give you the best like inertia point, of like that burst of energy, that burst of influence, or whatever it is. So consider that. Consider not running yourself ragged, not just like go, 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 do, without the balancing rest, or the balancing, play, and just like fun, just a different energy, a different perspective. Because then that really keeps us in really like a 360-degree view and experience of what's going on, but really more so of like what it is to be human, and why we're here. And we're here to experience things, the good, the bad, the ugly, the like boring, whatever it is, just to really experience it, to really see it and understand it and embody it, and feel it, and understand it, but really feeling it, I think is the important part of being human, is really experiencing something as much as you can, because then you have a full understanding and perspective of like what that is, what that thing is, at least from your vantage point as who you are now. So definitely balance, and keeping things in an ebb and flow, and not getting stuck in one energy or the other, seems to be kind of like an overarching message for us for this week. And I think really, oh gosh, it's Libra season, of course, for October. Let me pull one more card. Just feel like I need to pull one more. Let me see. Oh, and this one's upright, right? So we gotta have a little bit of balance. And this is called Vast Vistas. Expand your horizons. And to me, this card is reminding us that even though we go through things in our life, in our lifetimes, in our experiences that can be really challenging, and that can really kind of sometimes make us wonder, like, is this really the point, or what's the point, or this is awful, or I don't know what to do, or whatever it is, that even though we do experience those things, that there are often so many things that we have the opportunity to experience that are absolutely wonderful. They're absolutely beautiful, and they can be super, super simple. They can be really phenomenal and big. There's so many things to experience. And so I feel like we're being reminded to take the blinders off, that we are being reminded to take away, to shed our self-limiting beliefs. Certain things that we embody as being true, or as being right, or how they've always been done, or what's best, or whatever it is. Sometimes those things are like, yes, that is like a fundamental truth. Yes, do that. That is the right thing to do. But sometimes when we kind of step back a little bit, or we look a little further out, we expand our horizon, we realize that that's just a truth that we either accepted or that we were raised with or that we were told was true or right or how things should be. And we just accepted it for whatever reason. And we just kind of tucked it away. And that's just kind of almost like a program just kind of running in the background like all the time. And we have never even thought to question it. You know, it's just, we just always thought that that's how it was or whatever. And then when we kind of look at that and go, wait a minute, why do I believe that? Why do I think that? Is that truly who I am now? And, you know, that I still think that or believe that to be true. And a lot of times it's like, whoa, you know, wait a minute. I have different thoughts about this, or I have even bigger thoughts about this, you know? And there are so many stories that I've heard that people have told me, that my kids have told me, my adult kids. And I know there's stories of, like, from when I was a kid too, but I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment. Maybe it'll come to me in a second. But of things that you believe to be true basically your whole life, right? You never questioned it. And it's something that you learned when you were like really little. And then when you somehow it comes back up and you realize like, oh my gosh, like that was totally inaccurate. You know, that was totally wrong, or that was the wrong explanation for something, or how something works, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, I remember one of my boys, and this is something that luckily that they came to this realization when they really weren't an adult, but I think they were about 12, and we were talking about like cows when we were talking about milk, and they just kind of rolled off their tongue. They said something about, well, you know, I mean, you know, chocolate milk comes from brown cows. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. And then I was like, did you just hear what you said? That's hilarious. That's so cute. And they're like, oh my God, like, I just remember thinking that when I was like 4, and just, I never questioned it. And I don't know. I've never challenged that before. And, you know, it's really cute, but it's just like, just imagine, you know, some of the things that we're raised with, or that our little child brains, you know, kind of like understand in a certain way, but then we learn a whole lot more, but we don't challenge it. What if we carry that like in adulthood? What if we carry that into like midlife, you know, whatever it is? And it's just like, we don't challenge what we truly know. Like, is this still true? Oh, wait, is this even accurate? You know? So be okay with that, you know? And I'm not saying that everything you know from when you were a kid or from, you know, the former version of you is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. There's some things that are just these beautiful truths that still resonate with us. But I'm saying, like, you know, let yourself kind of expand, you know, just kind of like really look out and see like, wow, what is the big picture? And how do you really understand that big picture? And if you're like, I have no idea, that's okay. But then you might kind of like reach and, you know, ask other people, how do they see it? You know, like how far can they see? You know, how broad are their horizons? And feel expansion in that, because that's the point too, is expansion. When we have expansion, you know, we feel like our chest is open, and we feel like, you know, we're just kind of like floating out, reaching out towards something, person, life, the horizon, whatever it is. When we have contraction, that's an energy of fear, which expansion would be like love and joy. So when we have contraction, it's like this, you know, like our shoulders are slumped, you know, we're kind of like protecting ourselves, right? And we're stuck. A lot of times we're kind of like going inward or going backwards. And contraction is a defense mechanism, it's protective, but that's not an energy that we really benefit from, like staying in for a long time. So think of expansion, you know, and contraction, and being able to kind of like, as you breathe, you know, flow in and out of that, and reach towards things and be open to things, right? Instead of being in a state of contraction. That's how you experience stuff. If you're contracted, if you're closed up, you know, you're not only not experiencing your environment, other people, whatever, but you're also keeping yourself from interacting with your environment or other people. Sometimes that's necessary, but a lot of times it's not. So anyway, so that is our energy update via oracle cards tonight. And I hope that that helps you. Definitely feel that it's important for us to be realistic and for us to be, industrious and prepared and smart and aware, all of those things. But we also need to make time to play, and we might need to make time to rest, but we need to recharge our soul batteries too. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? Okay, so that is our energy update for today, October 4th. Thank you so much for joining me for that portion. And on a separate video, I will post the guided meditation. All right, have a good night.